Hi there. Jason here at Innovative. Had a customer bring in this ashtray from a smoker. As you can see, it's pretty well gone. Just the bottom is though. Fortunately, the end piece looks pretty good. I've already cut it off. And what we're going to do now is I want to get this cleaned up. Our vent here is frozen, our intake. We're going to cut the bolt off, get everything nice and smooth, shiny again. I'm going to replace this bottom and the retainer here. Look, it's so crumbly, it just falls apart. So we don't have to worry about cleaning this. We're going to trash that. We're going to clean this up, and when we get back, you'll see some nice shiny pieces and some new pieces for the bottom, and see what we can get done. Stay tuned. So as you can see, we've got this pretty well cleaned up. It's about as good as it's going to get. We'll let them paint this up, put it back on themselves. We're going to measure to replace this tray here and the catch at the end, and then we'll get it welded on. Now, I wouldn't TIG this. It's not super clean, but it is clean enough to throw a 6013 on it, which is a great sheet metal rod to stick weld with. So we'll come back in just a few minutes. I'll have some new materials and we'll put this thing together. One thing to know, when you're measuring for this tray, I'm using CAD to draw all my parts. I'm measuring the height here, which gives me about 3 1/8. I'm measuring my width, which gives me 11 inches. That gives me my arc here, my base arc. So when I draw that in CAD and I select that base arc, it will give me the arc length, which ends up being 13 1/8. So that's what we're going to cut our sheet metal to, and then when we come back over here, it'll all be 16 gauge, should be pretty easy. We'll attack it in the middle, we'll kind of form it around our new end cap, because we've got brand new metal to work with. Then we'll bring it over and we'll attach it to our existing end piece, and we'll turn it over to the customer, let them paint it up, and we'll be done. All right, so as you can see, we've got our new pieces cut and cleaned here. This is a pretty good fit. We measured that okay. It's going to turn out pretty nice. And I've really kind of done a nice prep job here, not just to get it clean for welding, but I wanted to scuff the surface up as much as possible so this high temp paint really grabs and holds and lasts this guy a long time. So on to putting it together. Okay, so here's the finished part, and I chose to use 16 gauge sheet metal to make this out of, to give them a long-lasting repair here, so we don't have to mess with this again. If you've got a friend that can roll sheet metal, I highly recommend going to see him, because we use this piece of exhaust pipe and a hammer here, and I had a friend helping, and that's how we got our shape here. We basically started on one end. I chose to TIG-tack this thing all the way around as we formed it to the pieces. I know I said I was going to use 6013 rod, but this worked really well, and the edges cleaned up enough that I could use a TIG process and some 16th filler here, and it seems to have done real well. It was a lot of hammering, I'm not going to lie to you, but you could go with an 18 gauge or a 20 gauge if you were doing this yourself. It would form a lot easier. The metal's a lot thinner. You would still get a good repair. It just may not be as thick and may not last quite as long. Since this is under the fire, catching the ashes and controlling our intake here, I really wanted to give him something pretty heavy duty. So that's the end of it. You see the finished product. We'll let him paint it up. He'll put his pieces back on here. He'll have his intake control, and he'll be back in business. Thanks for watching, and just remember, anytime you do things like this, safety glasses for when you're using your grinders and you're cutting and beating on things, and always wear a hood. Anybody that's around, make sure they got eye protection when you're doing this kind of repair. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.